This week on The Splash, Sylvan Lake turns 100. The Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show returns. And we take a big swing at the golf business. The Splash is the production of Civic Center TV. We're a news magazine that covers everything from local news to feature stories, all so that we can bring you the latest from the greater West Bloomfield area. And now, let's dive into The Splash.
Welcome to The Splash. I'm Daniel Zivian. Here in West Bloomfield, you can't walk a mile without running into a young entrepreneur with an innovative business venture. So here's three of them. Reporter Erica Jones met up with the creators of a revolutionary new golf ball holder.
Michigan has tons of beautiful golf courses, and summer's the perfect time to crack on open a cold one and head on out to the green.
But do you ever get annoyed with carrying around balls or shooting them into the woods? Well, you may not have to anymore. 3 entrepreneurs from West Bloomfield are working on a product to make your putting seamless.
Our product is a golf convenience tool that helps with holding 2 balls in one buckle.
And the idea of it is if somebody is starting to get into golf or has been in golf for a long time and doesn't want to deal with like the inconvenience of having to go back to their bag and having to constantly dig through it and anything like that, you'll have tees and balls accessible to you at any given moment so that you can just plop down and throw them on the course and you don't have to like keep walking back and forth.
The idea for the ball buckle came from 14-year-old Ari Saperstein. Ari brought one to life on his 3D printer and connected with his brother Jake and business partner Brandon. The boys got some help from Michigan State University's Burgess Institute of Entrepreneurship to make this concept a reality.
My little brother Ari came up with an idea on his 3D printer. He was just kind of messing around. He came up with an idea for a ball buckle. Fast forward a few months, and I was in a business class with Brandon, and we found an opportunity for Michigan State to invest in startups. And so we pitched the idea to them together. Since then, we've just been talking to different professionals, and we realized that it's a pretty good idea, and we can do a lot with this.
The product isn't available for purchase just yet, but work is well underway. You can be ready to find it on shelves very soon.
The goal right now is to get to manufacturing as soon as possible, get about 1,000 units or so. We're trying to weigh out our different routes of manufacturing and trying to figure out what cost is best for us. We're currently going to sell the product for about $10 per unit and to start to get them into like pro shops and local golf stores by mid-August, late September.
And while there are tons of popular golf gadgets already on the market, the uniqueness and specificity of this product makes the team confident it will be a hit.
We have looked through the market and there seems to be like similar products, but nobody's actually capitalized on the market. They seem to only sell like one specific product that's not comparable. Like it's stuff that will connect to bags and stuff like that, but nothing like this specific product that is a convenience tool that will be on the person.
The ball buckle is actually just the first of many products the boys plan to create under their startup, On Point Detroit. In the meantime, they're working on marketing their brand to get people ready for products to hit the shelves.
We do have an Instagram at On Point Detroit.
We're going to use Kickstarter as a marketing tool. And we're working on videos and different advertisements for Kickstarter, which we think will determine pretty well how our product's looking on the market.
Make sure to follow along as these guys take golf to the next level. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Erica Jones.
You can find more information at our website, civiccentertv.com/onpointdetroit. In the far reach of our coverage zone lies the quiet city of Sylvan Lake, incorporated as a village in 1921. Yes, that's 100 years ago. I was on location to learn how Sylvan Lake is honoring this milestone and to meet the longtime resident turned local history expert. 2021 marks the centennial of Sylvan Lake's incorporation as a village. Originally a small resort community on the road to Pontiac, Sylvan Lake has grown into a tight-knit and prosperous city. On Sunday, the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society celebrated the anniversary by holding a Q&A with longtime resident and local historian Helen Jane Peters.
Well, my parents brought me home from the hospital to a little house on Inverness, and I lived in that house until I was 16, and then we built a new house on Parkway, and I lived there until I went off to college at Michigan State. When I graduated, I taught for 3 years in Farmington and 5 years in Birmingham, and then my husband and I were married, and we lived in Birmingham for a year and a half, and then we moved to this beautiful spot 50 years ago this year. So I've lived here in Sylvan Lake for 70 years, and I know a lot of people. A lot of people have just been wonderful to us.
Peters has devoted much of her life to collecting bits of Sylvan Lake history as they happen, beginning with newspaper articles when she was in college.
25 years ago, approximately, Sylvan Lake was 50 years old as a city. And we started with historical displays in the community center. This was our old community center before the new one. And so this really sparked my interest. In the last 25 years, I've been collecting history in earnest. I have many notebooks full of interesting things about so many different subjects. One of them is Whitfield School, because I attended Whitfield School from kindergarten through 6th grade. So I have class photos that go back even to the 30s, which is really exciting to me to be able to show people. Oh, this probably is your dad when he was a little boy, or something like that.
Despite the Q&A taking place on Zoom, celebrations will not be restricted for long. On August 26th, Sylvan Lake will hold a citywide party at its community center.
Brian Golden is going to come and speak about the interurban. We're going to have John Martin's band come and play, and a local photographer will be taking family pictures on the bridge. And the highlight of the whole day will be the historical book that will be available. We're still working on it, so hopefully it'll be ready by that time. It's a wonderful, caring place to live. We care about our neighbors, about the children that live here. I hope it stays the way it is. Just loving and caring and thoughtful and kind.
For The Splash, I'm Daniel Zivian. To learn more, you can visit civiccentertv.com/Sylvan Lake Centennial. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be testing the waters with residents, and we'll take a look at this year's Orchard Lake Art Show.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Daniel Zivian. With the various activities coming back to the fore, now may be the time to try something new. For your next excursion, here's a recommendation from reporter Jake Kustash.
Fine art. Oh boy, do I love fine art. But for many fine art fans like myself, the pandemic has greatly hindered my ability to view and purchase fine art. But luckily this year, the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show is finally back.
We're excited. We are planning this event in 7 weeks. Unlike usually 8 months to a year that we have to plan the event, it's turning out to be wonderful. Thank God for Michigan reopening and allowing our outdoor events to continue to happen for this summer. We are so excited.
When art shows were away, superfans like me were emotionally and literally lost because I still showed up and no one was around. But this also had an impact on artists, much like Sherry Haney.
It was a different year than any other year I've experienced, but I had a lot of time to work in the studio. And I could take my time with things. Like, I wasn't rushing from show to show, but I was making intermediate sales that was enough to, pay the mortgage and kind of keep things rolling. So I wasn't moving ahead like I would be if I were doing the art shows, but I was bringing in enough to pay the bills and stay stable without panicking.
The Orchard Lake Fine Art Show is also looking to inspire and encourage the next generation of great artists.
I noticed many of the elderly artists were fading out, that the schools weren't necessarily teaching the art students business side of selling their art. So as part of our commitment to bring art and art into the community, we, having integrated, the program started with our Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. We integrate a youth art competition within the show, and we encourage students, it's for grades K through 8 or ages 5 to 13, to enter their original and personally handmade art, which is a program where we have $350 in youth art awards. We have 8 awards. The kids get the same beautiful, gorgeous 2-foot-long ribbon that the professional artists receive at the show.
Well, my wallet and I are well prepared for the return of these great fine art shows. And reporting for The Splash, I'm Jake Kustash.
For more, you can visit civiccentertv.com/artshow2021. It's time to check in with the community on our weekly segment, Testing the Waters. We're a month into lifted restrictions, outdoors and indoors, and reporter Erica Jones wants to know what big events our local residents want to hit up first.
It's been a long year stuck at home, but restrictions have lifted, and I know I'm ready to get back out there. How about you? What's the first big event you've attended or plan to attend since COVID restrictions have lifted?
The first thing I'm going to be attending since COVID restrictions lifted up is the off-season tour, J. Cole's, in October at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit.
I'm planning on attending a music festival in Lansing in the fall.
I went to Las Vegas and I'm going back again.
First big event I attended was a Detroit Tigers game at Comerica Park.
I'm going to be going to a friend's wedding in December.
I flew to New York and went to a Mets game.
The Tigers and the Sox.
It's called Prime.
The streets are very crowded with people and the casinos are also very dense.
Looks like the only thing stopping me now is this Michigan summer rain. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Erica Jones.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, I'll sit down with Mitchell Jones from Stockx.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior. These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different. One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games? Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate. So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm Daniel Zivian. This week I'm joined by Mitchell Jones, an alum of West Bloomfield High School and Michigan State as well. Mitchell works for Stockx in Detroit, which sells sneakers and streetwear, and more recently, trading cards. And Mitchell, I understand you had a hand in that trading card division, did you?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Stockx, most people know for sneakers. We're also into streetwear, luxury goods like handbags and watches. And more recently, we've gotten into collectibles and under that, trading cards. So I was actually the first person to be hired into a full-time role to work specifically on trading cards and was part of our launch in trading cards back in October of 2019.
October 2019. And what were you doing at StockX before that?
So I started off as an intern and had some various tasks. And then when I was hired on as a full-time employee, I was working in influencer marketing. And then I transitioned over to trading cards.
And have trading cards been some passion of yours throughout your life? Is it something you've been interested in?
Yeah, so basically since I was a little kid, I don't even know how old, but as long as I can remember, probably 6 years old, I've been collecting cards. And it's interesting because I didn't have my dad or anything or any older siblings that collected or any friends. I really sort of just got into the hobby myself and researched it myself and really got into it on my own.
Well, there you go. That's very nice. Now, you start in the trading card division October of 2019. Fast forward a few months and COVID-19 hits. Everything shuts down. Most items, commodities experience a shortage, a supply issue, and of course a demand issue as well. How did it go with trading cards?
Yeah, so for trading cards, the pandemic was super interesting. I mean, for our business and Stockx as a whole, it actually didn't affect us negatively at all. In fact, the opposite. It was really positive because people were at home and, they weren't going out to eat, going on vacations, and some people getting stimulus checks. They had a lot more disposable income, so they were buying stuff such as shoes. And then trading cards really blew up because a lot of people during the pandemic started from a nostalgia play, rediscovering their old cards and getting back into it. So there became issues with supply initially because there were so many more people into the hobby than previously were there, which skyrocketed the prices. But the industry in general just took a massive boom with all these people either coming back into the hobby, adults that had collected as a kid, or just new collectors taking up something new.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I haven't gotten back into trading cards myself, although I remember when I was 7 years old being very into all the different Pokemon cards and such. I know there's a lot more than Pokemon, but that is about the reach of my knowledge. Do you have a favorite bit of trading cards, a favorite brand or whatever?
So like you said, like when I was younger, I was super into Pokemon cards. That's where I got my start. But now I primarily focus on sports cards. I can't even seem to keep up with all these crazy Pokemon cards and other trading card games. But right now, my favorite types of cards are baseball cards, and specifically, I personally collect cards of Boston Red Sox players.
Very nice. Go Red Sox. Well, not really. Go Tigers, actually. The story of hearing your business actually take a boom in this pandemic environment due to the stay-at-home lockdown orders is very interesting to me. Was it easy to keep up with the demand? Because you said there was a huge boom. Were there ever days where you had to turn people down and delay their orders for weeks at a time, perhaps?
Yeah, so certainly at the beginning, just with our trading card business being new, and we forecasted aggressively, but in the pandemic, it just exploded to a way we couldn't have predicted. And in terms of just processing our orders, at the beginning, me and another guy who was on my team, we had a big hand in the operational side of the trading card business as we tried to scale it, and it got way out of hand really quick. And for a little bit, we weren't even able to go downtown, so we were actually processing hundreds of orders from a different location and starting to get behind because we tried to get every order in and verify it and authenticate it and get it out to the customer the same day, which became challenging as the order numbers just kept growing and growing and growing. And we had to play a little bit of catch up to sort of expand internally and bring in some new people to help assist and grow our trading card business to meet the demand of the consumers.
So you had tough times there, but now it's summer 2021. As you've no doubt heard, things are brightening up. What is your outlook on Stockx's trading card division going forward?
So, yeah, I mean, we obviously reached and exceeded all of our goals for 2020, which was super crazy considering, a lot of companies went out of business or severely struggled. So for us to be able to achieve and exceed all our forecasts was super awesome. Now that we're sort of getting out of the pandemic, it's sort of come back to life a little bit, and prices have sort of stabilized in the industry. But where the prices stabilize is still way above where they were pre-pandemic, and there's still so many new consumers. So we're super bullish on being able to take a big part of this market and also hopefully in the next couple quarters do some really innovative things in the trading card space.
Well, Mitch, it sounds like business is booming. That's really good to hear. Thank you for being with us. That was West Bloomfield's own Mitchell Jones from Stockx. We're going to take one last break, and when we return, spotlight someone who has served the community in a number of ways as our Person of the Week.
Don't go away. You're watching The Splash on Civic Center TV.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through. The park where we play, the stoop across the way, that favorite cookie smell, and Big Bird's tree we love so well. I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you.
I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
And now, back to The Splash on Civic Center TV.
Welcome to The Splash. I'm Daniel Zivian. Now it's time for our final segment, Person of the Week. This is where we highlight special people in our community who are inspiring and generous toward others. This week's recipient is a jack of all trades, Carolyn Irie. She has been guiding young adults as a bar mitzvah tutor at Temple Israel for 20 years and is currently finishing up her last season. She has been an instrumental part of so many students' lives and will have a lasting impact on their education. Since the start of the pandemic, her and her husband Howard have been dedicated to living a healthy lifestyle. They travel to New Michigan hiking destinations each weekend, where they explore all the beauty our state has to offer. Carolyn has used this healthy lifestyle to help others as a healthy living coach. She volunteers her time and resources to many local organizations to help the need of others. She started an organizing business to help people clear their space and their minds. She served for many years as the president and treasurer for West Bloomfield Lake Estates, and Carolyn is currently on the Jewish Women's Foundation board and volunteers her time as a Shiva leader to help families through challenging grief. She also works as an election supervisor and has gone out of her way to make sure people stayed safe at the polls during COVID. She is starting the next chapter of her life as a paralegal at a law firm and will continue to guide and empower others every day. If you know someone who is making a positive difference and would make a great Person of the Week, let us know. Message us on social media with any and all suggestions because we want to congratulate and acknowledge those making a difference in our community. And that's it for this week's Splash. You can watch new episodes anytime online in HD at civiccentertv.com, Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Civic Center TV is on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Civic Center TV. For all our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Daniel Zivian.